Jehovah is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovah wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation, till the growth is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. It is the will and wish of your God that all men become constitutionally capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Etherian gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherian heavens, to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds, so shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmin. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love, lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall course around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I created.
Well, that's it, family. Lodge up yourself, big up yourself. This your boy Selahshalom, created gang in the building. So to hop on this rainy Sunday. You know what I mean? It's raining out here. It's cloudy out here. I don't know how the weather is in your city, but out in my city, it's rain today. Yo, where's it? Cosmon Cal in the building. Early with it. Bishop X. What's the vibe? What's the word? Make sure to hit that like when y'all come on in. You know what I mean? We just vibing today. Freestyle like you know how we do. We know how we do. It was interesting how Malachi hit me in the chat, in the Creative Gang chat, and it was One West. They got a video up talking about the biblical timeline, yo. So sure enough, we tapped in for a minute just to see what the gods was talking about, but obviously they ain't talking about nothing. I wanted to see when did they say that the biblical timeline exists. That's what I wanted to hear. We didn't get a chance to hear it because they was over there gossiping about everything else but the topic. I want to see if those who believe in the Bible, do they believe in the biblical timeline of 3761 BC? Because that is the established timeline that the Jews record the beginning of creation. So I was curious to see if the One West Hebrew Israelites believe in the same thing. You hear that, Melly? You see, I'm talking about the One West boys, man. You dropped that link in the chat today. I'm trying to see if these boys is really about that biblical timeline. Did you hear them bring up a timeline? Because the little bit I heard when I clicked on, they were talking about some black chicks when they weaves and everything other than what the topic is about. I even put in the chat, the biblical timeline for the Hebrew calendar starts in 3761 BC. That's all we need to know if y'all accept that date. If y'all accept that date as the creation, nigga, we can have a debate. We're going to debate that. We're going to hold you niggas accountable to that. If One West believe it, more than likely Tazariak and them going to have to believe it. We need to know if anybody out there who studies the Bible, anybody out there who's a Hebrew Israelite, what is the beginning? What is the starting point of the biblical timeline? Put that word out there. No timeline. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to see if anybody want to hop on and talk shit with me. Ain't no particular topic. What's up? Yeah, she ain't scared of the rain either. She was out there in the rain thing. So, yeah, we want to see what this biblical timeline is according to the Bible. We need to know what Hebrew camp, ISUPK, IURC, GOCC, GMS, what do they believe that the starting point of the Hebrew calendar is? We need that. Let me put on some music as a low vibration vibe. You know how the Adrian do, Let me see, intro beat, boom. Now we gotta get some music going. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We vibe. Let's get some music. What is the biblical timeline of creation for the Hebrew Israelite community? You know what I mean? We don't never hear him talking about timelines. They talk about Moshe, they talk about the Daniel and the prophets, they talk about Yeshua, but Israel don't really deal with timelines. What is the biblical timeline? When is Adam and Eve? When did they exist? That's what we want to know. We want some timeline answers. Yeah. Anybody got any guesses on when the biblical timeline is? See, one thing with the Oashwi, it gives us a timeline as well. Whether if you agree with the timeline or not, it gives us the timeline. And if you was to cross compare the biblical timeline with the Oashwi timeline, it's a vast difference. We go over this regularly to stay sharp. You know what I mean? That's what we need. We need to know the Hebrew calendar begins. What you say, Cosmo? We don't need timeline in the belief. They just believe right. They believe whenever. You try to tell them in the creation story that God created the heavens and the earth in one day, they try to tell you that was a millennium or 1,000 years. There's no specific timeline. We just want to know when the biblical timeline began, yo. Peace to Bronze Yogi. Bronze Yogi. Hey, yo, that Versus was crazy. No Limit killed it, y'all. I'm rocking with No Limit, my nigga. Fuck that. I was ready on that fatigue militant shit already. So when them niggas came out with the militant army fatigues, I'm like, I'm rocking with these brothers. But nonetheless, we need to know when the Hebrew calendar begins based off the Black Hebrew Israelite community. Does anybody know in the Black Hebrew Israelite community when is the beginning of the biblical timeline? We need to know that. Yeah, for know that ass. So look, bring back up the chart. Now look, the time of creation. Now, Yale University Library. We click the link to the website. Now look, this is the website. I'm gonna drop this link in the chat for you to have. There go the link to this website right here. This website, which is Yale University Library. You don't get no smarter than Yale. And Yale is letting you know that the Hebrew calendar starts where? Right here. Let's get it. 3761 BC. Hold on. 3761 BC, the date for the creation of the world. Look at that. This is Yale University Library. So if that's the case, if you don't believe this, if the Black Hebrew Israelite community do not believe this, what do you have in replacement of this? That's what we want to know. What do you have in replacement of this date if you disagree that the date of the Hebrew calendar is 3761 BC? Have anyone heard any other dates besides 3761 BC as the beginning point of the Hebrew calendar? You understand? Anybody? Anybody in the chat? I know most of the chat is created gang, so I know y'all ain't gonna go for that time period, but has anyone heard another date other than 3761 BC as the starting point of the creation of heaven and earth? When God said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, that took place in the year 3761 BC. This is one source. One source. So if I was to take this to Sinetta with sources and references, and then you come with rhetoric and opinion, it's game over. See, we didn't even touch on time periods or timelines or biblical timelines over there. We didn't touch on that. And then the excuses they're going to give is that the white man timeline, this, that, and the third timeline. Oh, nobody really knows the timeline. They're going to give you a whole bunch of excuses instead of coming with an actual timeline.
You say Domino's best deal ever is that you can get any pizza, any toppings.
So now, this is one reference. Right? So that's Yale University. That's one source. Now, we have a second source reference where it tells you right here the year is 5784. This is old. This is last year. But here's the date. Look at that. This is the It's 5785 right now. It's not even been 6,000 years since God created the heavens and the earth. It's been 5,785 years since God created the heavens and the earth. That's the second reference showing you that they're dealing with a limited time period when it comes to the creation of the heavens and the earth. And then we have another reference. See that? The Jewish calendar, a brief introduction to the Jewish calendar. Now, like I said, most Hebrew Israelites are going to say, oh no, we're not the Jewish, we're the Hebrews, we know Jewish is not us and all that. But that ain't the point here. The point is, have you carved out a biblical timeline if you disagree with this? If you disagree with this timeline, Israel, what timeline have you put in replacement of to combat this? So it says, look here. It says a brief introduction to the Jewish calendar. The Jewish calendar that dates from the time of Hillel, 359 CE, AM 4119, is an official calendar of the state of Israel. See that? This is an official calendar. Along with the Gregorian calendar, it is a lunar solar calendar based on computations rather than visual observation. Sighting of the young crescent moon were used in ancient times, right? The initial epoch for the new moon is 11:20 p.m. at the meridian of Jerusalem on Monday, 7th October, 3761 BC. There you have it. Proliptic Julian calendar. Jerusalem long altitude is 2 hours, 21 minutes east of Greenwich. This begins the Jewish calendar. So right here, here's a third source, a third reference, referencing that the Jewish calendar is 3761 BC. If you disagree with this as a Black Hebrew Israelite, you would have to show a reference, not just one, but several, to rebut the Jewish community saying that the creation of the world started in 3761 BC. So now, that's three. Now look at this one. This is another reference. How does the Jewish calendar work? Let's see. The complicated system that determines the high holy days is relatively new creation, dating to around 350 CE, Common Era. So technically, you cats really didn't have a calendar until Common Era. You didn't have a 3761 BC when Moses was around. The date you got is a modern. Let's see. What I got highlight here for that. Hey, okay, a group of Jewish leaders. Let me find that on the source. Let me scroll down some. Let's see. And it's funny because they still base their calendar around the Gregorian calendar. You know what I mean? They're just a play of names, to be honest. Let me see what the reference they got here. Let me see if I could reference something in this. Let's see here. Let's see what this is talking about. There we go. Look what this say. Although derived in part from ancient Babylonian calendar. Nigga, stop playing with me. You do know that there are Babylonian names in the Hebrew calendar. So that shows you that the Babylonian had an influence on the Hebrew calendar. This version of the calendar is relatively new construction. A group of 3 Jewish leaders, the Calendar Council, created now fixed calendars around 350 CE Common Era. See that? Or 4110 in the Jewish system to determine the year of the Jewish calendar at 3760 to the year of the Gregorian calendar if before 1 Tishra, at 3761 if after 1 Tishra. The current year is 5782. So this was a couple years ago because the current year is 5785. So here it's showing you that 3761 again is the beginning point of the Hebrew calendar. Right here, 3761. Look at that. So that's just 3 references showing, couple references showing that the Hebrew calendar starts in 3761 BC. If anybody disagree with that, you know what I mean? If you have a different date than 3761 BC, please share it. Please share it. Because if you hold on to 3761 BC, nigga, you in trouble. You in trouble playing with the game if you holding on to 3167 BC. So if God created the heavens and the earth in 6 literal days, it would have been in the year 3761 BC. And then the reign of Adam and his descendants would have been from the year 3761 BC. So when I was talking about Enoch, Noah, Lamech yesterday coming from the book of Enoch, that time period in that year would have been 3761 BC, around that time period, based off the biblical timeline. So the biblical timeline would have been running concurrent with the Nakada and the Ubaid period of ancient Sumer and Egypt. So we got this gridded out. So this is the year 3761 BC. Anytime you ever have a debate with anybody dealing with the biblical timeline, nigga, you're going to get demolished right here. So if God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days as 24-hour periods, it would have took him 144 hours to create the heavens and the earth. Now imagine, look, there go that magical number, 144. Just like you got 144,000, you got 144 hours that your God took to create the heavens and the earth. Exactly, Cosmon. The Hebrew calendar is the Babylonian calendar. Now look, when you look at the Hebrew, let me Hebrew calendar names. Watch this, Cosmon. Watch this. Look at this. Watch this. The Hebrew calendar names of the month. Hold on. Now look, these are the Hebrew calendar names of the month right here. Now look at this one. It got Tammuz. You know who Tammuz is? What is Tammuz doing listed as the Hebrew calendar? There go Tammuz right there. There he is. What is a Babylonian god doing associated with the Hebrew calendar if y'all dealing with Yahweh? They go Tammuz, known to the Sumerian as Damuzin, the shepherd. You niggas got a shepherd king in your month. And to the Canaanites as Adon, is an ancient Mesopotamian Levantine deity associated with agriculture and shepherds, who was also the first and primary consort of the goddess Inanna, later known as Ishtar. So you got Ashtoreth as the side piece of Tammuz. So you got a Babylonian deity named in one of your months. What is the order of the month, yo? Let me see that Hebrew calendar. Let me see here. There it is. Look at that. The Hebrew calendar. The fourth month is Tammuz. The Babylonian god. So you niggas is worshiping Tammuz in the fourth month of the Hebrew calendar. See that? So that just goes to show that there is Babylonian influence in the Hebrew calendar. If not, why have it? Eradicate that name and replace it with something else. You know, place it with the David or Solomon or something. Give it another name than Tammuz. As a Jewish community, I would have been replaced that. So now, this is what we wanted to know when we looked at One West biblical timeline. We wanted to know, well, what is the timeline? They don't even have a breakdown or explanation. They over there talking about nothing. That's why they fake, man. You got a whole organization standing on falsehood. You got ISUPK standing on falsehood. You got IUIC, one of the biggest organizations, standing on falsehood. They're standing on the God that is false, and they don't even know it. And look at the people they leading. Now look, the Hebrew word for day is yom. Yom is a time of 24 hours. See that? So that's what we wanted to know. What was the biblical timeline according to the Hebrews? And obviously they ain't got it. And even if you was to use the 1,000-year philosophy, if you was to use the 1,000-year philosophy with God created the heavens and the earth in a 1,000-year period, but if we're still starting at 3761 BC, you niggas is still in a mud hole. We still got you backed in the corner. Either or, whether if you believe in one day or if you believe in 1,000 years, we still got you backed in the corner. Because if you believe that God created the heavens and the earth in 1,000 years, and then on the sixth day, he created man, which would have been 6,000 years from the first day. But if we're using 3761 as the starting point, that means 6,000 years from 3761 would be 1239 AD or 1239 Common Era. So that means Christ would have been, that means, well, yeah, Christ, because some people say Christ is the one who created the heavens and the earth. But God would have been creating man. Let us make man in the year 2939 when the Knights Templar was running around. The Knights Templar was running around this time while God was supposedly creating man on earth. See that? So the biblical timeline is off. There is no biblical timeline. You could cancel that. You can forget about it. You know what I mean? So we basically cutting down the falsehood and exposing the falsehood of what these Europeans have written in the Bible that you blackity black Negroes think you had to do with it. You ain't have nothing to do with the Bible being composed, written, none of that. Let's pay these brothers a visit real quick. Mm-hmm. These Europeans been had the Bible. So you know what I mean? Brothers ain't never had their hand on the book, yo. Look at these dudes, man. These is dudes who had their hands on Bible. You got Moses Maimonides. He was a what? Authored. He authored some shit, which was the Mishnah, Torah. You know what I mean? Where the black man doing the Mishnah and the Torah and all that? Where he at? You got this white guy, leader of the Jewish scholar and sage, Mishnah, into the Midnas Halak. He studied that shit. He behind, you know what I mean? Where the black man at? Chief of the sages. You got Yara calling himself Black Sage, but here you have this nigga. He is chief of the Black Sages. He ain't no black man. He ain't Black Sage. Yara, this ain't Black Sage. This is chief of the Black Sage. I mean, chief of the Sage. And he a white boy. Simeon ben Gamaliel, Nasi of the Great Sanhedrin. Come on, Nasi means prophet. They calling this man a prophet. Huh? Shlomo. We got Shlomo looking like a goddamn church father. Looking like one of the Roman church fathers right here, the Catholic church father rabbi. And look, he's a what? What is he? He's author of comprehensive commentaries on the Talmud of the Hebrew Bible. See that? Where is the black man authorizing, publishing the text? We need, that's important. If we're going to claim that this biblical text is ours, we need to see some niggerism in it and on it. These so-called European Jews and Europeans had their hands on this Bible since the time of Ezra, since the time of the Ptolemies, since the time of Constantine, since the time of Martin Luther, since the time of Origen, and all these other people who had influence on the Bible. And you niggas got the nerve to sit back and think that that book is still blackity black after it had been through the hands of all those Europeans. And then on top of that, you can't show me one black man who wrote his version of the Torah, and then carried it down, showing his pedigree and lineage of black men upholding and following what he wrote. Show me one. You can't. It's game over, man. It's game over. Look at Abraham ben Meir. Look at him. Look at that. These are your scribes of your book. Pre-King James, pre-Martin Luther, huh? Pre-Gutenberg. He was one of the most distinguished Jews, biblical commentators, and philosophers of the Middle Ages. Look at that, distinguished Jew. Distinguished. He stood out. When he spoke, it meant something. But where is the black man? Where is the distinguished black Jew? Where was the distinguished black rabbi at this point? Moses, Nachman. Look at him. Hmm? He got that Noah beard, that white ass snow beard that Noah is described as having. Look, biblical commentator. He reestablished of the Jewish community in Jerusalem. They reestablishing communities, authorizing Hebrew texts. Where is the where was the Hebrews at? Where the black Jews at? See that? We got another Moses, De Leon. Look at him. That ain't no Bantu. Moses de Leon was a Spanish rabbi and Kabbalist who first publicized the Zohar. Come on, man. What are we talking about here? Look at him. No black man. These are the forefathers of your Hebrew text who played with it. Jacob ben Ashar, he played with the text. They fondled in the text. Influential, medieval, rabbinical, authoritative. These niggas got authority. These niggas is the ones who's determining, I guess I'm going to put this in the text. I guess I ain't going to put this. They have authority to do that. So, let me scroll down here. You know, we bounce around over here. Now look at this. So these over here now, I'm going to the ones who's playing around and selecting in the text. Let me see. We got the Kai in the vote, council. So now look. Here we had niggas playing around with the text. Now you have some cats talking about they don't read the book of Enoch. They don't read this, that, because it's not in the Bible. Well, these are people who was compiling your Bible. The way you have it today, the reason you have a Genesis to Revelation, and the Old and the New Testament. Pope Damasus. He presided over the Council of Rome in 382 that determined the canon or official list of sacred scriptures. See that? They selecting and picking and choosing. So you can't sit there and tell me that the Bible is what it is by God when we have historical records of these men selecting and choosing what's going to be in the book. Here it is right here. Disputes of what book should be canonized or not. This is the death blow to anybody who says they don't read the book of Enoch because of this, or we don't really deal with these books because they're not in the Bible. Here's a death blow to that. You had the Marcion canon. Marcion's canon, possibly the first Christian canon ever compiled. It consists of 11 books. And then it says Marcion canon rejected the entire Old Testament. Who has the authority to say they're going to reject the Old Testament? Who is he? Along with all other epistles and gospels, or what would become the 27 books New Testament canon, which during his life had yet to be compiled. See that? They compiling the text. So if you was living during the days of Marcion and you was a follower of Marcion, or Marcion books was published and circulated throughout the community, you wouldn't have had no Old Testament. You wouldn't know nothing about no goddamn Genesis. Bereshit bara Elohim wasn't rocking with that. And you do know that Marcion was against the Old Testament God and all that. Now look at the wisdom of Solomon. Look, origin in the 2nd century AD refers to uncertainty about the book of wisdom. Who was he to talk have an uncertainty? This is Origin, the one who castrated himself. What type of authority does he have about the book of wisdom? He says, consider the wisdom of Solomon as part of the Old Testament. Anatasius, writes that the book of wisdom, along with the 3 of the Deuterocanonical books, while not being part of the canon, were appointed by the fathers to be read. You can read them, but they're not part of the book. This is Anastasia. He's determining them. He's dictating. You know who he is, right? You know who Anastasius is, right? There he is. Anastasius, right there. See, we got all this laid out. All we gotta do is just pull up the dots. Anastasius, what does it say about Anastasius again over here? It said what? Anastasius writes that the book of wisdom, along with 3 other Deuterocanonical books, while not being part of the canon, were appointed by the fathers to be read. Huh? They said, you know what? They're not part of the canonicals, but you can read them, but don't mix them in. That's what he's saying. That's what Anastasius is saying. The same Anastasius who sent Frumentius into Ethiopia to establish Christianity in Ethiopia. Huh? Don't let me go with on them Ethiopians and that Christian. Letter of Jeremiah. Look. Jerome provided that the majority of Jeremiah refused to consider the epistles of Jeremiah as the other books he called apocryphal and canonical. Jeremiah refused to consider the epistles. Who was Jerome? Jerome. Jerome refused to consider the epistles of Jeremiah. Who is Jerome? What type of authority do these men have to sit there and say no? And I'm sure that the book of Jerome got the word of the epistle of Jerome got God said in there. Huh? It's a prayer of Azariah, and song of the 3 holy children. It is accepted as canonical scripture by Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Christian, but rejected by most Protestants as being non-canonical. So they had this dispute about which books are canonical or not. Right? Hold tight. Yes. So, anybody talking about the text and the authority of what book should be and what book should not be in the text was already done by these Europeans over and over again. Isaac ben Judah, look at him, was a Portuguese Jewish statesman, philosopher, Bible commentator, and financier. Joseph ben Ephraim, the author of the last great codification of Jewish law. Take a good look at him. What did it say? The author of the last great codification of what Jewish law? What Jewish law? Who gave you the law? Didn't Moses give you the law? Who is he? to authorize anything. Where is the black man? Where is the black rabbinical pedigree to show us that, yes, this comes from the black man? We can't say that. This is the history. Show me a black man in 1575 to 1488, from 1488 to 1575 that did anything with the Torah. Was that nigga named Ball? Who you talking about, okay? Oh, shit. But yeah. And look, the author of the last code, what does codification mean? The action or process of arranging laws or rules according to a system plan. He did that. So whatever rules and system you got in that Bible, and that Tanakh, these men had great influence over it. The Bayet Yusuf and its popular analog, the Shula Arak. To this end, he is often referred to as Ha Machebar, or the author, and as Moran, or our master, Jewish, Babylonian, Aramaic. Look at that. That's how they look at this man right here, yo. Master Jew. We're the Master Jew Negro. Look at him, Moses. All these Moses. We done ran through like 3 or 4 Moses. And all these Moses is European. Look what it say about him. He's an expert in Jewish law. He ain't right. He ain't cool. He an expert. That means he know his shit. Now, no black Hebrew Jews are showing up at this time. No black Hebrew Israelites in the year 1530 to 1572 was on the map, claiming to be the descendants of the Hebrews. Look at Shmuel, Samuel Shmuel. Shmuel was a renowned rabbi, and the Talmud is famous for his commentary on the Talmud. Look at that. They call him our teacher. See that? You got these mini messiahs and mini prophets popping up among the European Jewish community that they're aware of. They revere these forefathers of those who upheld the Torah. So now look at the year. It's 1555. Shmuel is doing this. He's a renowned rabbi. And then when I showed in the year, in a couple years after that, this is what the black man was going through. The transatlantic slave trade. Now, there was black people in all those countries that these so-called Jews was in. So there can't be no excuse why the black man couldn't uphold Jewish and Hebraic customs when the Europeans upheld these customs throughout the ages. They in France, they in Rome, they in Afghanistan, Iraq. Look at Manasseh ben Israel. Now look at this. Take a good look at him. Manasseh ben Israel. Look what he did. Look at the time period, 604. Manasseh ben Israel was a Jewish scholar, rabbi, Kabbalist, writer, diplomat, printer, publisher, and what? Founder of the first Hebrew printing press. Nigga, that's a death blow. In Amsterdam. I'm sure it was brothers in Amsterdam around this time. Why they ain't running around screaming they the Hebrews and creating the first Hebrew printing press? Huh? So we're showing you a list of these European rabbis who upheld the Torah, who upheld the Bible. Haim Shemuel. Look at him. Also known as Baal Shem of London. And Dr. Falcon was a rabbi, a Baal Shem, a Kabbalist and alchemist. Look at him. He playing with Baal. The ancient Canaanite deity, Baal. He an alchemist. The Surah Torah. Come on, yo. You got all these Europeans. Look at this guy. They call him the righteous sprout. So of course we don't have no hands on the scriptures nowhere. We really don't have no proof of any black man that had their hand on the Bible, even if we go as far back as we can. You know what I mean? The Dead Sea Scrolls, we don't have no face on that. We can't assume. Because during that time of the Dead Sea Scrolls, you had a lot of nationalities out there. You had the Romans, you had the Greeks, you had all those different nationalities running around the first century. You can't say the first century was just blackity black. You had a lot of different nationalities showing face. You dig? Run it.
Selahshalom.
We got the Kruger in the building.
What's going on, bro?
Hey man, just going through exposing that. I don't know if you see Melly dropped that link in the chat earlier about the ISUPK talking about the biblical timeline. You know what I mean? So I hopped in the link in the chat. You know what I mean? Screaming out, yo, the biblical timeline is 3761 BC. Like, what is it according to y'all? See where they coming from with it.
Yeah. What they end up saying?
Man, them niggas was talking about black women and their hair and all everything other than the topic.
Instead of getting back to that timeline, huh?
Exactly. Them niggas bullshitting, bro. And then, you know, from there, just going into the fact that when you really think about it, no black people had their hands on the Bible, yo. There is no historical time period where black people was authorizing the Bible and then handing it down to other black people as a pedigree and a lineage to show, like, okay, this portion of history comes from the niggas who had the Bible. We don't got that.
Facts. And then my thing is, if your rabbi is named Baal, I'm not even gonna listen to what you talking about. If your rabbi is named Baal,
That's right.
We can just cut the conversation at that point. Everybody know Baal was never a good guy.
Exactly. Facts.
So why you, as a Jewish, supposedly Hebrew Israelite, are you exclaiming names of your God's sworn enemy? Could it be that y'all was praising two false gods under two different dichotomies, or your Israelite in the north, your Jewish in the south, or however you dig what I'm talking about? But it was all just one fake God, Baal.
Right. How do you separate the Hebrew God Yahweh from the Canaanite God Baal? How do you separate it and know the difference if we don't have some type of moral code to go by to distinguish this God from that God?
Well, the moral code of Yahweh, as a matter of fact, the accoutrements of what the God does and his powers and everything are the exact same as Baal's.
Mo.
Hey, sit down.
He said, bitch, you gonna play with me.
They got the same exact attributes.
You talking about Yahweh and Baal,
gods. They both live in mountains.
So how do we distinguish the Canaanite God Baal from the Hebrew God Yahweh?
You can't. And the God himself said, "You shall no longer call me Baalim." So you was already praising the Baalim gods, and you was gonna call him Ishi, man.
And then on top of that,
You found no perfume.
you got, what is it? Jeremiah is saying that I didn't tell y'all niggas to do sacrifice and burnt offerings when y'all left Egypt. But then you got the Israelites giving burnt offerings and sacrifice in the wilderness of Sin there.
Facts.
So who God is that? Because that's the same Jeremiah from the same lineage of people that was in the wilderness saying, according to the text, that those sacrifices in the wilderness was given up to God. God enjoyed the sweet savor of those sacrifices. But then when we get to Jeremiah 700 years down the line, Jeremiah is being spoken to by God saying, yo, I never told you niggas to sacrifice goat offerings, none of that.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Yeah, that'll shake me to my bones because now I'm like, wait a minute.
So good.
For thousands of years or hundreds of years.
Hold on, Auntie.
That's not what it is.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timeline debate got exposed bad when I went up against Judah. Talking about, we showed that their whole existence is in the basically in the 24th arc cycle.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? Nothing extends past the 23rd, especially if it is that you're going with the Hebrew calendar. I don't know, as a Hebrew, what other calendar you could go with.
That's what I want to know. I'm like, if y'all disagree with the 3761 BC, and we got several sources that these Jews are going by that, what do you have in replacement of that calendar? And you know what I mean? What date do you have if it's not 3761 BC? You can't.
And then how do you justify it? What system are you using to justify your date that you're going with? Exactly. If it's not Hebrew, where do you get it from?
Exactly. That's the next step. It's like, all right, after you disagree with the text, Well, show us what you're using,
Mhm.
and show us who else is following this as far as that time period.
Or did you just make it up because it fits your narrative?
Right.
I said, make sure y'all say all that bullshit for me.
Because I'm like, shit, yo.
Seeing
At least a
everything.
while.
I see why they give you a wide berth, C-Lock. Yeah,
Hey, Cosmo.
they don't really run up on gang like that. And
No,
when
they
gang get to asking real serious pointed questions, they get to ducking, running, doing the sub-Saharan shuffle. You dig what I'm talking about? They got to do everything else but answer this simple question. If you're not
Big
using
facts.
the Hebrew calendar, what calendar are you using and where did you get it from?
Big facts, yo.
Right? So,
Big
yeah. I would stay far away from me, too.
Yeah, they better stay away, yo, because basically the thing is that we got all angles covered. If you want to start at the beginning of your book, we can. The beginning of your book start off with the 7-day creation story. So let's start there. That's what I was thinking. Like, if we deal with a debate on creation, well,
you got to explain. Yeah, at that point, you got to explain why your whole story is represented in the Sumerian text.
Right. You got to explain what is a goddamn Babylonian god doing as the name is your 4th month. That's like the Hebrews letting a Roman god slip in their calendar. Y'all don't correct it. Yo. There's none of that going on.
Well, the whole religion of Judaism comes out of Babylon. It is 100% Babylonian. Even the Israelites at the time didn't speak Hebrew. So where do these Jews learn Hebrew? It's in Babylon because the Babylonians speak Hebrew. As a matter of fact, everybody else in the Middle East, for the most part, was speaking a version of Hebrew except the real Israelites. They were speaking Aramaic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's proven by Jesus and his family in the 1st century.
Yeah. You had the Aramaic, then you had the Babylonian Aramaic, which became the Babylonian, the square script. Mm-hmm. And the square script is what you had. You had the two roots or two lineages of the Hebrew script coming out of. You had with the Babylonian or the Assyrian captivity because they returned in the Assyrian captivity before the Babylonian captivity. So the Assyrians, when they came back, when the Assyrian so-called Jews, or when they had that migration back to Jerusalem, they were speaking the Samaritan script. The
Samaritan, Block Hebrew or Assyrian. Same thing.
Exactly.
You see what I'm talking about? But you got to understand that the Assyrians was already speaking Hebrew. That's why they writing in Hebrew. It's not the other way around. The slaves influenced the masters. Right. No, the masters influenced the slave. Everybody in the Middle East was speaking that so-called Hebraic tongue, even the Babylonian. Right. This is why Daniel tells them we lost our language and everything and had to pick up everything from the Babylonians, even the language.
Right. Because when Ezra wrote the goddamn Tanakh, it was in Babylon. And he came back with the square script. That's how you knew it was Babylonian influence, because the Samaritan script looks more like a Paleo script. It's more closer to the Paleo Hebrew, but the Babylonian script that Ezra came with, nigga, that's the Assyrian, that's the square script.
Facts. You dig what I'm talking about? That's facts.
Let's show that shit, because nigga, we talking about it. Some niggas be like, oh, what they talking about? Let me show you the Assyrian, the difference between the square script and the Sumerian script.
The Samaritan and the Assyrian.
Right. I should
have
it.
They're different. And they're a long way apart from each other.
Okay. Yours, Amber's, is in the microwave.
It may be up here. There you go, right there. So this is the Samaritan Pentateuch, whatever. And if you look at it, you see the script looks nothing like the Babylonian square script. This looks more like closer to Paleo-Hebrew when you look at it, right?
Look more like Phoenician or what they would
That's
call
exactly what it is.
even
That's
Egyptian.
exactly what it is. No, you said it right. Phoenician. That's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. It's closer to the original Phoenician script.
Yep.
Now look, this is a Samaritan high priest, but this ain't no Negro. This is 1905. But the square script, here's another example of the Samaritan script. This is how it looks. That's truth in the Samaritan script, the word truth. But now, when you come to the Jews now, when you come to the Babylonians, so saying that, matter of fact, let me pull this up. The Samaritans. Now, I did a documentary with the Persian influence. Let me see if I could bring that up. When it talks about when the Samaritans asked the Jews who came back from Babylon to help rebuild the temple, them niggas was like, nah, nigga, fall back. We got this. We don't need you niggas' help. Persian influence of the second temple. But it was this particular deity, not deity, king, that the Assyrian migration back to Jerusalem would have took place.
Right.
Because you had two migrations, the Assyrian when it went back then, and then when it went back with Ezra during that time. Now right here, the first exile of return of Sumerian resettlement was under this dude, Esarhaddon.
Yeah, Esarhaddon.
Yeah, I was just about to say, nigga, you the wordsmith, nigga. Go ahead and pronounce that.
Yeah. No, it's Esarhaddon.
All right, so Esarhaddon during this time, during the 6th, 7th century BC,
Mm-hmm.
is when the first exile of return of the so-called Jews came back.
That's right.
And in Kings,
Found the crab.
it states that 2 Kings 17, verse 24 states the king of Assyria brought people from Babylon. And the crazy thing, Kazman, he brought his own people. Kita, Eva, Hamath, and Severim, and settled them in the towns of Samaria to replace the Israelites. They took over Samaria and lived
in its towns.
When they first lived there, they did not worship the Lord. Who could have been the Lord, I wonder?
The Amos daughter.
So he sent lions among them, and they killed some of the people. So here is basically showing that the first exile back to Jerusalem was Samaritans in replacement of the Israelites. Right here. Right? So now
He migrated them people. He forced migrated them. He brought them from Babylon.
Exactly.
To that place. The king of Assyria brought them from Babylon to replace the people that was already there.
Exactly.
See, and so this is when y'all taking them DNA tests and y'all think that they right. Y'all never take into account migration patterns and some of them being forced migrations.
Exactly. And then by the time you get to what's the nigga name? Xerxes, Ezra and them, the second exile of return, you got, it says, let me where that script at. Let me see. Oh man. Oh, here it goes.
Okay.
Oh, here we go, right here. So now, when the second exile came, right? Look, the book of Nehemiah states, it says in chapter 4, it says, people already living in the land, meaning the people who came from the Assyrian, possibly including some northern Israelites, as well as mixed racist people near Jerusalem, offered to help the returning Jews build the temple. Zerubbabel and the other leaders harshly rebuffed them, invoking Cyrus' decree and declaring, you have no part with us in building a temple to our God. So here is the Babylonian Jews rejecting the Samaritans who would have settled 700 years earlier that are coming and opposing as Jews, of course.
Yeah.
And they like, nah, nigga, we got this. And then the crazy thing is that Zerubbabel is rebelling against the Samaritans. They don't want no help with them building the temple, but the temple is inspired by Cyrus. Do they?
Yeah, he's invoking Cyrus.
Right. So you on some plantation shit still.
Right, but the sicker part about it is the God made Cyrus his Messiah.
Exactly.
And once you find out, you read that Owaspi, and you find out that it's Luamong that inspired Cyrus.
Exactly.
You dig what I'm talking about? It's Luamong that inspired Cyrus. And this is why he is tied in the Christian Bible.
Exactly. Facts.
You dig what I'm talking about? Uh-huh.
Yeah, that shows right there. Like, yo, these niggas, these Samaritans. First off, the Samaritans is the one who had the Samaritan script, which is closer to the, like you said, the Phoenician Paleo, compared to the Babylonians, who was returning Zerubbabel, who was returning with the square script.
Right.
Zerubbabel over here returning with the square script right here. Zerubbabel. And other leaders harshly rebuffed them, invoking Cyrus' decree and declaring, you have no part with us in building the temple to our God. So that's Zerubbabel, a Babylonian nigga, influenced by Cyrus.
They quote Cyrus as their Messiah. That's crazy.
Wow, you right.
That is crazy.
Yo, hold on. Hey, what's the verse where they say Messiah is the anointed? What verse is that? You know, hold up. If I got Cyrus on here, I don't have that verse. I will have that. What time is the time period of Cyrus again?
Cyrus is 500s.
Yeah, it's in the 5, right? Yeah, okay, you're right. Darius.
Stop.
Xerxes. Damn, I stopped at Xerxes? Fuck. I didn't finish the documentary. Sheesh.
Xerxes like in the 400s.
We did it on Cyrus. I know we did it on Cyrus though. Let me see.
But the crazy thing about Ezra is they Messiah, Cyrus, let him go. Right? And let him go back. But Ezra didn't go. Ezra went back to be a willing slave in Babylon and started a what? What did he start? It's not hating if it's the truth in the Bible say it about him, huh? Because they're gonna say, "Oh, Cosmon, you anti-Semitic, huh?" But what did he go and start over there in Babylon? A bank, Ezra started a bank. So they can do what they want to. It's your God inspiring these people to do all that stuff. And then I'm saying, I'm going to take the step forward and even say a step further than that the words in the Bible that are purported to be the creators are actually the words of the writers of the Assyrians, of the Babylonians, of the Egyptians, of the Persians and the Medes, all the enemies of true Israel, the Jews who are people who were in captivity in Babylon, white folks. I'm saying Jews always been white folks. I'm saying they are the 100% opposite in look, way, character, everything, language, mannerisms. Everything is different.
Right.
From what they did to who they are, a Jew is not an Israelite. They're not the same people. One has usurped and conflated the other's history and said they were these people when in fact they are not.
And the crazy thing is that the records that they got is the records of during their reign under the false gods.
Say it again, bro.
The records of these Jews
Mm-hmm.
are the records of their reign under the false gods.
Facts. And then the crazy part is Owaspy deliver it up exactly when it was happening. Y'all could be mad at it. You dig what I'm talking about? But it's not Owaspy's fault that your historical timeline agrees with it.
Right.
And then it take you past that. Things you thought were happening at the same time are thousands of years apart. Right? For the fact that, how about the fact that there was no literature, Bible, text of any type since the time of the Assyrian, since before the time of the Assyrian captivity. Huh? If Ezra is writing it in 496 and there hadn't been one for 400 years, that's 896 that it hasn't been since 896 that it hasn't been a biblical text or Tanakh. Right? Assyrian captivity don't come to about 728, 725. 896 they lost the Tanakh. And then we got to ask the question, who wrote that? Moses ain't write nothing down.
Exactly. And what they writing it on?
Right.
I thought why they writing it? I thought God was supposed to write it in the rocks with his fingers.
Yeah, niggas supposed to be walking around with some stones.
well, see, live per their timeline, we still in the year 5,700 and or what is it? 5,885, 785. We within that 6,000 year period. We should just see people popping up out of here and there. Poof. It's just a little nigga standing right there. Like, what up, dog? Let me hit that L, cuz. You dig what I'm talking? He just poof in the air. What's your name, Adam? You dig what I'm talking about? This is the 6,000 year timeline that they running back.
Hey, man's supposed to be being created right now.
Right now. We should see niggas just poof right out the air.
Let me pull that up real quick. Let me pull up the 6,000 years of man's creation if using the 6,000 years from 3761 BC. And put up
right, y'all keep listening to Paul. Even though the Bible say yom, don't it say day?
Exactly. You can't argue.
The Bible say day. But okay, Paul, a nigga who talked to Jesus after he was dead, and Jesus came back speaking Greek poetry to this nigga. Oh, wherefore art thou, Paul? Why must I kick against the goads, my nigga?
Romeo.
Yeah, this nigga was quoting Aeschylus. You dig what I'm talking about? So no, we not just gonna take Paul at face value.
So look at this, Joe Cosman. Look at the 6-day creation on this calendar. Now, 6,000 years from 3761 is what? What is the 6-day period on this calendar, yo?
The 6th day start in the year 1239 AD.
So what?
To 2239 AD.
So technically, we are in the 6th day. And like Cosmo said, niggas supposed to just be popping up out of nowhere right now. Just popping up. Right now.
You just walking down the street, a nigga just pop up out your phone like Wi-Fi. Just poof. You dig what I'm talking about? He just pop up.
Niggas out here poofing into existence.
Right. You dig what I'm talking about? I guess them must be the immigrants. They just poofing into America.
And then look. We got 1,000 years to create. So, you know, the first from 2939, it could have been niggas. Close, around this time, you got the other nationalities being created. And at the end, you may have the white man created around 2939.
Bro, but this is 1239. We got Reconquista going on. We got holy wars.
You got the nice
what I'm talking about. Around this time, You got Cahokia is falling. We got whole civilizations in America ain't nobody even talking about. We got to think the Mayans is still slapping right now because they ain't came in contact with Europeans.
Right.
So y'all trying to tell me at the height of these major civilizations, man is just being made in 1239 AD. Poof, the first nigga came in 1239. If you going by the Hebrew calendar, you gotta stay by the calendar, Selah.
Exactly. Look at that, yo. 6,000 years. We ain't making this shit up. Look at that. They go the first 6,000 years, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. When you get to the sixth, this is where we at right here.
Yeah.
And God ain't even resting yet. God's supposed to be running around somewhere if that's the case.
Yeah, we should hear him rustling in the garden.
We should bump into him and shit, not sooner or later if he's running around on the planet creating man.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You should at least get 1 billion naked niggas running around the streets every day. Just poof. These niggas just come out of nowhere.
That's funny, yo. Look at that. So look at this. Now look at the 6th day again. Niggas came into existence in slavery, nigga. God created niggas in slavery.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
You can't make this shit up, bro. On the 6th day, creation of humans, niggas was in them boats. God created niggas in the ocean in them boats.
Nigga, y'all had 300 years. Nigga, y'all was out of there. Y'all got hurried up and cursed y'all niggas.
Look at the present time on there.
All the boats.
Present time, man. Right there, yo.
Oh, man.
Look when creation of the animals. You had the Roman Byzantine Empire flowing. Look at the 4th day when God created the sun, moon, and stars. You had the Assyrian Babylonian captivity going on. What we was just talking about. What we just spoke about for the last 20 minutes is the 4th day of creation.
Man, that is crazy.
Niggas going into captivity when God is creating the sun, moon, and stars.
That's crazy.
These niggas better not ever decide they want to do a debate on the biblical timeline, agreeing to 3761 being a date.
Mm-hmm. You better make something up, and then if you listen, you better off just saying you made up the date and just bow out.
Yeah, or do a mighty Hebrew move. Yeah, we've been there billions of years ago.
Oh, we'll kill that too.
Just make some shit up.
Where you get that from? You got that from the Kali Yuga? Huh? It's off too. We don't care nothing about that. So you had to go to the Hindus to get your understanding, your Hebrew understanding on time.
That nigga said you had to go to the Hindu. You had to leave the Hebrew shit. You can't fuck with this because you see how silly it is. So you had to go to the farther east to get the sacred knowledge.
Right.
On your calendar, huh?
Wait till y'all figure out the nigga that's the same thing the nigga that y'all call Jesus did. He went farther east. Right. And got y'all so-called gospels. Wait till you find out him name ain't Jesus. Him name ain't Jeebus.
But you know what I noticed, Cosmo, with the biblical creation story?
Mm-hmm.
The firmament was created on the 2nd day, yo. You would expect that shit to be created first, like in the first day. That shit was created on the 2nd day, yo. Yeah,
no, they're gonna try to say though. They're gonna try to say, Selah, see, right here in the beginning, he created the heavens and the earth. The heavens is the firmament.
Yeah. They're gonna try that shit. Watch this. I'm gonna pull it up. Watch this. Cause I just peeped that like when we be going over shit and you just realize some shit. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. Did this nigga just say he created the fucking firmament on the 2nd day?
Right.
Shouldn't that be a first day creation?
The firmament. That's backwards.
Exactly. So look here. Watch this. Where that shit is. Hold on.
But the dog's baby. Share.
I want to check on.
The dog's baby.
What day was? Oh, the second day. Okay.
That
All right. Where that?
his baby.
All right. So look.
Yeah.
Verse 5 states, God called the light and the darkness and
Yeah.
the evening, the morning, the first
He
day.
is so fast.
So the first day is already done. All right. So we're on the second day.
Right.
There's man.
I said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the water. And God.
Wait a minute. Wait. Who made the water? Where the water come from? Right? If you go back up to verse 2 and 3, right? It say right there in 2, and the earth was without form, void, darkness was on the face of the deep, right? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. But in 1, it said he created the heavens and the earth. It didn't say he created water. So who created the water?
And the earth was without form. And
So
void.
so we got heaven, we got earth, we got darkness, and we got water and God all existing before light.
You were upon the face of the waters.
Yeah, but who created the waters? Where they come from?
And if the earth is not formed, how was the water composed?
Right. If there isn't a firmament, if there's a firmament, if there isn't a firmament, where does the rain and the water come from?
Ooh, hold on. Let's see what firmament. That's damn nigga. That's crazy.
Right. You can't have water without a firmament. What keeps the water on the ground?
What?
I just looked up the firmament. Let's see what it say.
It's the atmosphere.
Extended surface, solid expand, flat as a base. Look, firmament, a vault of heaven, supporting waters above. Ooh,
Did a
it's a
lot.
death blow, bro.
Right. So you can't have no water below if you ain't got the firmament that's already separating the water from above from below.
Look what it states. Considered by Hebrews as solid and supporting waters above. But but look at that though. How can that be if, let me take that off. If on the second day, right here, he said, let there be a firmament. And then it states, God made the firmament. And this is the second day. So, like you say, where would the water come from on the first day if he's creating a firmament which is responsible for holding water on the second day? That don't make no sense. It ain't adding up, son.
Yeah, man. It's not adding up. You dig what I'm saying? And then the worst part about it all is once you look at nature, it doesn't line up with what we see in nature.
Now we get top of the weed when we walk out.
And this wasn't even what the fuck I came for and shit. I came for something else, and we got the goddamn banging on that. So yeah, the firmament was made on the second day. And look at this. And God called the firmament heaven. He made heaven on the second day. And evening and morning were what? The second day.
So the firmament is the heavens, right? It's in the air, but he made water before he made heaven.
He made two heavens, Joe. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Wow.
We get that. But when did he create it? On the second day.
Right? Because he didn't create the firmament till then.
So how the hell
you created?
How are we going to justify verse 2?
I'm telling them I quit.
How are we going to justify verse 2 through 5? How are we going to justify that?
I'm sorry.
Not you.
Oh. I'm
God
like,
said, let there be light.
Sleeping, you
There was light. God saw the light
Yeah.
was good, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Separate the light from the darkness. That's crazy, yo. This ain't make no sense. So now he creating light. But this ain't the sun.
Charlie
Right.
Brown.
Where that light come from before the sun?
Look at that. Let's hit light. Let's see what it's saying.
Here, put these quarters.
You know they're gonna try to reference sun, but
You're welcome.
Let there be light.
let there be order.
I
Order.
wish you could too.
Light.
Light,
Day.
day, bright. That's all. That's all bullshit.
Yeah,
Clear.
the light of day.
Flood. What the hell? Flood got to do with light? Herbs, lightning, morning, sun.
Which is why you have lots of
Light of day, daybreak, daylight.
Sun, moon, and stars. So how? But you can't use the sun because the sun ain't created on the fourth day. And if you try to say this is the sun, you got to show me two suns in the sky. Because you're gonna.
Or just show me another source of light besides the sun.
Right, because the sun was created on the fourth day. This light was created on the first day.
Right, and sunlight gives daylight, as you see. What is the light previous before daylight?
Exactly.
But you know how I told him to say the weed from.
Exactly. And the earth was without form. How does a formless earth look? And void and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So it's interesting how Anu Hassaj put the story together 6,000 years ago, not knowing 6,000 years later that man would be picking apart this story to tell the people that this shit ain't making no sense. When you,
Don't make no sense at all.
So I was
especially when you're trying to tie it to nature and creation. It's like, nigga, this shit don't make no sense. When you look up, we see spiraling galaxies. We don't see no, you know what I mean? Nothing in this creation story we see in nature as far as how things created.
How? Hey, Eli, explain this, right? On the third day, right? On the third day, God made plants, right? And God said, let there bring forth grass, herb yielding seed,
There you
and
go.
the fruit of the tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, right? And he brought that forth, right? And God saw it was good. And that was the evening and morning of the third day.
Right.
How did you grow them plants if it took 1,000 years for you to do it? How did you grow them plants, right? Before the sun was made.
Exactly.
The sun don't get made to the next day.
So now look, now coming back to the calendar, this is the fourth day. No, you know, this is the third day, like you said. The third day is from 1761 BC to 761 BC. This is when God would have created dry land, grass, herbs, fruits, trees, what Osman just read.
a little bit bigger.
But during this time period,
Square feet, but there's no
the new kingdom, the third intermediate period of Egypt was going on. You got the Greek Dark Ages going on. God is creating dry land, grass.
But it's all fenced in for the dogs, so that's gonna be
Bronze Age collapse, all that going on.
Right. When God's supposed to be creating dry land and food. And this is before the sun moon start. This is the third day. This is so these niggas all this is going on in total darkness.
Yeah, ain't no sun.
It's like all
You got the new kingdom of Egypt going on. You got that Ramses running around. You got the Israelites running around. You got the Mycenaeans running around. You got the
No wonder they always fighting. They keep running into each other. Ain't no sun.
Exactly.
They just crashing into each
I
other.
want to say she's.
But then when you get to the fourth day, the creation of the sun, moon, and stars, how can that possibly be?
Wow.
How can you possibly have herbs grow without sunlight? So it's like the story is ass backwards. And then when the sun is created, the Assyrians, the Israelites are in captivity.
Man, Man, this is crazy.
40 years after the creation of the fourth day, the Israelites are going into captivity. So now they're getting sunlight. So now they see what's going on.
Going into slavery as soon as they can see. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yo, that's crazy. When you put this in perspective, it don't make no goddamn sense, yo. These niggas better not never in their life argue the timeline on this biblical timeline, yo. We're gonna roast them every time.
Hey, you know we getting towards that season though, Selah.
What's up?
Gotta hit them with that chestnuts.
Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, let me go and throw it on for those who don't know. Y'all keep following these goddamn false gods. It's a goddamn season to be jolly right now because you niggas thrown in that lake of goddamn.
I didn't know it.
That lake of fire. Y'all going to that lake of fire.
Let me go and hit him with it one time. Then we're gonna have a moment of silence for you niggas.
And that calendar.
Right.
Hebrew calendar is the Babylonian calendar. Let that sink in.
Exactly. Here we go.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
That's where you headed, boy. To pine oil heaven.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
That's where you headed, boy. To pine oil heaven.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
That's where you headed, boy. To pine oil heaven.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
That's where you headed, boy. To pine oil heaven.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
That's where you headed, boy. To pine oil
Right
heaven.
in front of me, like,
That's exactly where you niggas is heading if you don't get it right. Creator, yo.
so what the
They going off into that pine oil heaven.
already?
Pine oil heaven. That's crazy. It's holiday season. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all know y'all get extra scary during the holiday season.
Exactly.
The next person puts it
I
on.
mean, shit.
Roasting on an open fire.
But it's constant. And you have to
So what's
You
up with
going to
that
pine oil heaven.
What's up with you heard any updates on that Atlas, whatever?
Say it again.
On that Atlas 31, you heard any updates on that?
Man, Atlas. Man, if they don't slow down with this Atlas stuff, man, it ain't gonna do nothing. Right? Oh, it could be this, it could be that. It's a whirling mass. It's a pre-planet. Right? It's roughly 12, 13 miles in diameter. And it's moving on this orbitary path. It ain't gonna come nowhere near Earth. And it ain't, I'm telling you, it ain't no alien ship. Now, if I'm right, and we here after October 29th, and we here after November 3rd, and we here after November 8th, and then y'all niggas ain't been crying about lemon, AI lemon or K1 lemon. Y'all ain't been crying about them comments. They been happening. Y'all wasn't crying about the serious comments. You dig what I'm talking about? The meteorites. Y'all wasn't scared about them. Why? Because you didn't know about it. They nobody tell y'all, so y'all could be scared about it.
Right.
So you dig what I'm saying? So if I'm more prophetic than your God is, y'all gonna have to send me that 10%. I'm gonna need that 10% about you niggas.
That's funny.
I'm saying after the 29th, when it's approaching Earth, right, and you can start seeing it after November 8th, lemon and all them, and when it's the closest to Earth, is going to be December
There's a lot of
19th.
people there.
Listen to me. I am the prophet Makba. I'm about to give you a great prophecy, my nigga. December 19th, when the comet is the closest to the Earth, it will not make a right or a left turn. It will keep going past on the other side of the sun and keep going back into its orbit and will not be seen for another 1,700 years, roughly. Or 1,300 years, roughly. I am the great Makba. I am powerful than your God. Nigga, now I'm gonna need my 10%.
What you trying to say?
Out you jokers. I'm gonna need my 10%. Y'all was giving it to Jeebus. Soft ass niggas, give it to me. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm saying you gonna be here on December 20th when it's the closest to the goddamn planet. And guess what the distance is when it's gonna be the closest, Selah?
What's that? Malachi Maccabee. What is this, Cosmo? What is gonna be the date?
Man, it's 167 million miles on the other side of the sun.
Oh, shit.
That's the closest it's gonna come to our planet. 167 million miles away on the other side of the sun. So you got to go to 93 million miles to the sun and then go another 77 plus past that, and that's the closest MI Atlas is gonna get to Earth.
That's crazy, yo. That's crazy, yo.
And niggas just terrified, and this reminds me when Jaja say, you dig what I'm talking about? They get full of themselves. They get the big head. They think they know it all, and nigga, I bring a star in the sky. I let y'all see one of these Etherean ships. Huh?
From millions of miles
get y'all knees like little cowards. Huh? You get the holy. Holy knees after that.
Hey, Mally, what's up with your boys? One West ain't touching on that motherfucking biblical timeline, man.
Hey, man. Hey. So look, I see the title. Hey, man. First and foremost, all praises to the Great Spirit, man.
Yeah, right.
So salute and peace to the CGG, all the brothers and sisters in training. Hey, but look, man. So look, I see the title, right? I said, oh shit, these niggas finally done grew up here. I'm like, oh, we about to talk about some dates. So you know, I start rubbing my hands, you know, on some Rick Ross type shit. Like, oh, okay, let me click on this thing, man. Bruh, do you know they don't mention one date? At least the whole time I watched it. How the hell are you talking about a timeline if you don't mention one date? They was talking about black women hair on there. Man, that shit was crazy as all hell, man.
How you talking about timeline? You don't mention no day.
Hey, me and C-Line was in the chat like shit. You know, threw some shit out there. 3761, nigga, started your calendar, nigga. That ain't even 6,000 years ago. What? Look, they look right over the comment. Right over that shit.
Yeah, like that shit didn't exist.
No, they did.
But how do you put timeline in your title, but you don't talk about time?
That's crazy, yo.
You don't give us a point of reference.
Right.
Like, how the hell do you do something like that? That was weird. But look, dude that was talking, you know, he was talking like he just ate a gravel sandwich or something. I was like, what the hell? I didn't really understand what he was saying. I was like
For you.
It was real weird. It was weird, bro.
I was just waiting for them to come up with anything. Just give me something so we could go off of, so we can hold these niggas accountable.
Yeah, like stand on it. At least oil of Olay tell you it's 57. What is it? 86 right now? I forgot what it is.
85 or 86, one or two.
Yeah. They tell you that they go by the so-called Jewish calendar. You know what I mean?
I mean, as a Hebrew, what other calendar do you go by but the Hebrew calendar?
I know.
Let me ask you that, Mally. outside of that 3761, have you ever heard any other camps mention a date about a calendar?
Yeah, the only other calendar Negroes that try to, speedball past you is the calendar known as either Enoch's calendar or what they'll call the Creator's calendar. Now, that day, now, hold on. But that day, bro, ain't nothing but a couple hundred years extended. So instead of 3761 exactly, it's like right at 4000 BCE. That's it, bro. It's nothing. It's not even older than what the Commission calendar is 47, like 47 or 48 something.
Right.
It's not even older than the Commission calendar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the only other calendar you got. You got what's called the Jewish calendar or the Hebrew calendar. You got what's called Enoch's calendar that they've tried to construct based off the latter parts of the book of Enoch. Where it going to the
do they put at the beginning point on Enoch? Is that the 4,000 years too?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. But bro, the info is real flimsy. Let me tell you that. It's real flimsy. It's just like, okay. All right, so this nigga done went to heaven and then shot you niggas this shit back to the earth. FedEx style. Like
How you do that?
Right.
Don't tell me he had somebody automatically write it.
That's real.
Don't no. This Enoch. This Enoch.
Ezra should have been responsible for bringing up the time period, because Luamong had the niggas talking about what you gonna write is gonna be from the beginning on down.
When was the beginning?
Be a timeline there.
And then Owaspi opened up to where he got the 6 day creation theory from. And when you see real time, right, and you peep out the 4 periods of 6,000 in the last 24 years before man before upright thinking man was created, it starts to make sense, because the story is limited, because the God is limited. But he even doubles down on top of that and says, I'm going to purposely lie and not explain when the start of things were, when my start is, how old I am, or any axioms about the way I do my thing. Right. Why? Because I seen that was a fall of Ahura. So y'all got to remember, the nigga who thought up the whole story in the Bible already went to hell before he thought that story up. He went to hell and became a true Lord God. This is why the story is 23 years from being 6,000 years old. They ain't figured it out yet. 23 years. That story gonna be 6,000 years old. And guess what come right at the end of that 23 years? Right when it should. A harvest season. And all this shit get put away.
Yeah, for wash out all the madness, yo.
Oh man, listen, y'all better be glad we still talking. You better be glad we still talking, cause when we done talking, that means we gone. We didn't already got the call. Jaja done hit us on the hitter. Dude, hey, y'all gotta go and get up out of there, cuz.
Big facts, yo. Get that
warning. I'm about to hit this thing with some escrow. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. We gonna flip it on his head one more time. Right? And then we ain't no telling what's gonna happen. at really just being real. Ain't no telling what's gonna happen at the harvest. You dig what I'm talking about? 2048. Ain't no telling.
Right.
But if he really wanted the beginning of the fall of religion to start, he'll show you grandma and them becoming Ethereum. He'll show you the brides and bridegrooms, and then he'll show you the Ions becoming Ethereum themselves. And these boys will lose their goddamn minds.
Remember, they say during the days is the time when the spirits of the dead communicate with the living.
What they don't understand is that every Earth comes into a time of cosmon. And after the 200 period Dan, Ethereum light is no longer blocked from the planet. It's going to be not only more communications with the higher Ethereans, more quality communications. Right. Ain't going to be nothing to block it. Huh? Ain't no telling what our baby's going to be doing.
Right.
This is why they always showing them as witches, warlocks, wizards, all this stuff with these magical powers and stuff, because ain't none of this new. Think about it. How did an Ion build a pyramid? How he build a mound? Huh? They had to have some type of technology. It wasn't just listen, it's not just that simple. And then y'all don't understand the real dope part about it is the Ion mind. What was going on in the mind? Y'all got to understand these people were tapped in with the angelic beings. They were talking to them just like I talk to you right now. So we have no clue what type of technology they was actually using. But if you think about the creator in his more natural way, he would have figured out a way to use what's naturally around them to get the thing they need done. So in effect, we walk on our ancient technology. Huh? It's the crystals, right? The great cities of the mound builders are where? Where are they? Huh? He even asked the nigga back then, where are they? He said, you looked at the great cities, but you ain't look at them little hubbles and hills on the way on the outside of that. Them the special people. But still, then again, where are they? They're still under the ground. Listen, your creator ain't no punk. He don't do little shit.
Big dog, man.
Big dog. He will wipe your country out and start it anew. Why? Because it's his.
Yeah, that Ajay no joke, yo.
What? It's a photo. I forget it. It's in one of the docs, right? And it's like it show like a time lapse of like fog, like this dense fog rolling in on the city, and how fast Ajay could cover a city up to the skyscraper heights. Boy, it took seconds.
You hear me?
Seconds, I'm not even talking 10
nanoseconds.
And that thing rolled in there, that cloud rolled in there so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. In less than 10 seconds, y'all, you can lose a city that quick too.
That's what I'm saying. It don't take millions and billions of years to form this shit.
No.
Say 144,000 years from a vortex to an habitable world, yo.
Correct.
In 144,000 years.
Man, they said in between 1050 and 1450 in America, we bombed this motherfucker out, right? I'm talking about 1050 AD. He bombed it out and buried it over like it was new. And new grass and new plains and all this stuff came up over. Right? We know at about 1250, Cahokia just disappeared. When they find it again, it's buried. How do you bury a pyramid structure 80, 90 feet tall? How do you bury it? With what?
Yo, our job must have been hitting all over because all these ancient stacks was buried, yo.
Come on, man. You dig what I'm saying? And the thing is, if you really read Esquire, you really get into reading it. Lika told them to bomb specific places. Specific places. If you praise the false gods, you got wiped out. Troy, gone. Harappa, gone. Minoan society, gone. Egypt, buried. It just barely bounced back.
Hey, let alone the wars with Suga and Tien.
Right. I'm just saying, they got bombed out too. That whole little place
She got buried over.
Gochin or whatever that is in northwestern Asia, China. And that used to be a thriving metropolis with millions of people. Now it's buried under 60 feet of dirt.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Mm-hmm.
How? Ain't enough water to bury it, like they saying.
Right. That's what I say, yo.
See, what they don't know is these places got wiped out on purpose.
Right.
Right? They got wiped out on purpose. Harappa, out of there. Huh? Ancient Mohenjo-Daro, out of there. Dwarka, out of there. Huh? Sumerian, out of there. Babylon, out of there.
And you know what? That's a sign of cleaning up the hells too, yo.
And then we see the same thing at the same time. Well, actually, we don't see the same thing at the same time. Esquire was going on over in the East. America thriving. We got the Olmec Society and all that stuff. They popping up the wheel and all that. They getting wiped out in the East.
That's crazy, yo.
Huh? Every city looked like it got hit with nukes and bombs and people dead in the middle of the streets. Their bodies are irradiated to this day.
That's crazy, yo.
How? None of that never made no sense to me till I read Esquire.
Right. Niggas forgot about the shit falling off the sky.
Yeah. And it'd be different if it was just like it happened for 3 days. You dig what I'm talking about? These are 400-year periods.
Right.
One at the beginning of the Archibald, one at the end of the Archibald.
Right.
Huh? And an intermittent part of 990 some years.
Right.
So Esquire really like 1,800 years long out of 3,400.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nasty work, yo.
Listen, they don't want to deal with the time with us, bro. We gonna hold you to that. Any of y'all religious doctrines, the Mahabharata, the Vedas, Vestas, the I Chings of the world.
Right.
If y'all think y'all got a better system in order, I challenge you.
Right. I
See,
challenge you to
challenge.
match at the dojo.
Yeah. You dig what I'm talking about?
Come to my dojo.
Let's test your style.
Yeah.
I will show you my my 9 fist Cosmon style.
You ain't got nothing for us. Yo, Mally, what's good, Mally? What's the
Peace,
word?
love, and light, brethren. What's the skinny?
I mean, smacking up the false gods in their timeline, you know.
Man, look, man. Hey, shame on these Negroes, man, for putting timeline in their damn title and not even mentioning one date the whole time.
Right.
Right. But look, I was saying something about the Enoch calendar that some of these men fancy themselves as using. Listen to me. The Enoch calendar that you are receiving out of the book of Enoch. Look, first and foremost, if according to the biblical timeline, Enoch would have been around 32 something. If we're going off to 3761, he'd have been around 3200 BCE up in there, right? But when you look these things up, all you gotta do is type in Book of Enoch, scroll down to the Wikipedia portion, and go look at the dates in which these things were written down. Listen to me. All these things were compiled and written down under the inspiration of Luamon. Bro, it's 200 BCE.
Right.
3,000 years after supposed Enoch, according to the biblical narrative, lived, Doc.
Right.
See, so that means all your books of Adam and Eve, and no Adam and Eve that didn't write anything. That's 200 BCE too. Your Testament of Solomon's, all your pseudepigraphers, your Jubilees, your Jashers, all these so-called pseudepigrapher apocryphal books were written down 200 BCE. So just like Moses didn't write the Torah you read today, Enoch didn't write Enoch, Adam and Eve wasn't walking around naked writing anything. You see what I'm saying? So the calendar you're using, when you come down to it, is still in some aspects some part of Jewish tradition.
Right.
Malachi Maccabee, are you saying, sir, that the books of Adam and Eve, Enoch, and books like Jasher and Maccabees and all them stuff come at the same time?
They all come at the exact same time period.
Wow.
And guess what other books you can throw in there? This really gonna make somebody mad and spill their coffee. You can also throw in there the books of Daniel and the books of Ezekiel.
Dang. Wait a minute. Daniel came after?
Yes. All these things are written down 200 BCE, all of it.
Wow.
All of it. So
go ahead.
So what I'm saying, so where we at now? I'm saying if we don't go ahead and even if we throw Enoch on the calendar, well, it couldn't have been written by Enoch. So whatever inspiration he had, based off your biblical narrative, is not in the book that was written down 3,000 years later. So that means somebody wrote the book of Enoch, right? Well, okay, that's an anonymous author. That's a pseudonym. Some type of Jewish scribe wrote all these things down, man. You know what I mean?
And then he wrote it in the time of the Ptolemies.
Yeah, look, bro, look these things up. Look up pseudepigrapher if you can. Look up pseudepigrapher on Wikipedia. It's gonna tell you exactly what it means and when these things were written down, and what books they include. Books like Jubilees, Jasher, Enoch, Adam and Eve, all that. Bro, all these things are 200 BCE.
And there it is right there. The Tanakh, also known as the Hebrew Bible, is composed of three main sections: the the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. Here's a breakdown of the books in the Tanakh, along with their estimate compilation dates.
Hush.
Excuse me. Look at the 5 books of Moses, yo.
Come on, bro.
They put in Genesis at the top at best 400 BC.
Come on now, that mean what you reading wasn't written by no Moses.
And who around 400 BC, yo?
Oh wait,
The goddamn Ezra.
Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that Ezekiel. Look what they say Ezekiel 550 to 100 CE. Dang.
Like, who
Look
wrote
at
that?
Daniel. Look at Daniel from 100 to 50 BCE.
Daniel's supposed to live in the 500s.
Come on, bro.
Keesh.
So the thing is, where they getting these tales from at this time period?
Yeah, definitely get the juices flowing.
Yeah, where did they copy that from? So what time period this? So, all right. If this is in the hands of the Europeans, that means, damn, what's his name? Who translated the Septuagint? Ptolemy II? Yeah, Ptolemy II.
Yeah, that's Ptolemy.
Yeah, Ptolemy II, who had it translated, who had the 72 Hebrews for 72 days translate the Tanakh in the Greek.
You got to go back though. That's closer to 300. That's like 280. 270. That ain't even.
Here. So that would have been
right.
And then depending on the language, because it depends on the language these time periods. Because if you're talking the Torah and the prophets from 400 BC to 50 BC, what language are we talking about?
Right.
Is this in Greek?
Yep.
Is this in the square script Hebrew?
No. What I'm telling you is the so-called Jews only write in Greek. They only write in Latin. Huh? Other than that, when you see any of the Samaritan text, it's coming from people from places like Edom. Huh? Like Turkey. These Babylonians, they're writing during the 1st century. People like Apollonius of Tyana, they're writing in Samaritan Hebrew block script.
Right.
1st century.
You know,
while Jesus' family and them is still speaking Aramaic.
But this greatly validates as 2nd Ezra when it says that the laws was done away with, and then that Luamung was going to write that which was from the beginning.
Yep.
And so for them to find a date that Genesis goes back to 400 BC, which would fit the time period of Luamung influencing Ezra, is just crazy, you know?
And then we got to understand that influence through Egypt, that Christian influence through Egypt, had been going before the time that they even claimed the name Christian.
Right.
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 Right. We got to understand the Ptolemaic influence under Alexander, put down by Alexander, was influenced by your boy Louis, young Louis. The same vision in Cain Row and all that he gave to Constantine, right? Is the same vision that he gave to Ptolemy. Is the same vision that he gave to Alexander. Every time a depiction of this Christ character comes out with your boy Ptolemy, Soter and them, you dig what I'm saying? In Philadelphia's, they come up with a Christ character called Serapis. Constantine or Hotas and them, you dig what I'm talking about? They come up with Jebus. Right? In the Nicene councils, hiding that they invented a physical representation for a God on earth.
Yo, look what they got Ezra at, yo. 100 BC.
Wow.
The nigga who wrote the bitches goddamn backdated.
Wow, Mally being nice. He gave him 200.
That's funny.
They hadn't existed then. Damn near 300 years.
That's
400
crazy.
years they've been out of existence. And then, why aren't these Hebrews writing in Hebrew? Everybody else is writing in Hebrew except the Jews. They're writing in Greek and Latin.
Right.
All the Jews work for the Ptolemies. Notice that? Huh? Right? And guess what? Paul, a supposed Jew, works for the Romans. These aren't even the Greeks. These guys are working for the Greeks right here.
Right.
Paul and them go to turn coat and start sucking on Rome man meat because Rome overthrows the Grecians.
Right.
Huh? Wait a minute. Wait. Not only do Paul sell out and work for him, but so does Josephus. They don't write a lick. Malachi Maccabee, am I lying, bro? They don't write not one book, never. First, second century in Hebrew. It's all Greek and Latin. Every single word.
That's wild, yo. That's wild. Now, this shit starts with Ezra.
Ezra in 50 BC. Y'all should be shamed.
That's crazy.
The Hasmonean dynasty still standing in 100 BC. What y'all doing?
Yo, that's funny. You right.
And then you get the Septuagint in Greek, and you don't have it in Hebrew. You get the quote unquote Hebrew Tanakh, right? Is the Septuagint. All you got is the Septuagint.
Where is the copy that they use to make the Septuagint? Where that at?
They ain't have one. Right? That's just like the you would need a date on the timeline. Just like they ain't got no dates on these timelines.
Nope.
They ain't got no pure source that they pulling from neither.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you only get it in Greek and Latin. Ain't no, and then it wouldn't matter no way. The Hebrew is the language of the Babylonians. Remember, Hebrews or Jews and Hebrews or Jews and Israelites are two different things. Two different people, two different tongues, two different people doing two different things with two different outcomes.
These niggas ain't never seen an Israelite before.
Not if you're trying to judge it by that Bible. The Bible only show you what the opposites of Israelites do. The opposites are called Leviticans. Why do you think y'all practice the Levitican law? Huh? Because these priests said that might as well be us instead of Moses. Why follow Moses' law? Our law is as good as his. Y'all give us that meat and we'll burn it for a sweet savor. I mean your God wanted for a sweet savor.
Here with them chopped up goat heads.
Yeah. We need them goat heads. in
Now
a
look at the
hurry.
Gospels, yo. Look at the time period of the Gospels. Look
Come
at
on,
Mark.
man.
See, they say Mark is the oldest one.
Come on,
68.
man. When is Revelations written then?
'90, yo.
Get the hell out of here. The 110. I know it ain't come out at the same time as the rest of them. It had to be last.
That's crazy, yo.
Mm. Mm.
Look at the New Testament.
Oh, yeah.
You got Mark. Yeah, where Melly at? When these niggas was writing this shit, when Paul was writing, wasn't Paul writing before the Gospels?
How? Ain't he the one supposed to bring the Gospels?
Yeah.
I thought James was the first nigga that wrote.
Well, I know James was the nigga that was that nigga because he was Jesus' brother.
That was
But
Jesus'
Paul,
brother. And he became the head of the priest, the head priest. You did, I mean, not priest, but rabbi.
that nigga in charge of Jerusalem.
Yeah, he the head of the church.
So Paul's supposed to be writing before the gospel, according to the whatever. Because the gospels come after Paul. So it makes it look like, damn, okay. Well, who possibly could have influence on the gospel if Paul is already writing before the motherfucking gospel? I'm gonna hear better
Right.
Romans.
And see, this is why I think Paul is an invention of Marcion. We don't see Paul's influence on the text till much, 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 much later. Right? And it's really the writings of the followers of Paulus or Apollianus, who is a Paulus or a Paul in Greek.
Right, but like you say, Marcion, he rejected the whole Old Testament.
Facts.
The whole shit.
He wrote his own Bible.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah. Marcion wrote his own Bible. And mind you, Marcion is what you call a peregrinus. A peregrinus is a Roman citizen, but who wasn't born a Roman citizen. He earned it, right? Or his people paid for his citizenship. You dig what I'm talking about? So he got like a common everyday man's role in Rome. So he makes up a character called a peregrinus who sets himself on fire. Right? And then he ties the story of Apollianus or Paul, right? As the story of this failing or this prophet who sets himself on fire, right? And ties himself in the mix, right, into this narrative. So out of this narrative comes Paul. Because Paul got to explain why I'm saying what I'm saying and I'm doing what I'm doing. And Marcion, who is supposed to be following in my footsteps, right? Because he's putting Paul in front of himself. But it's actually Marcion writing it, saying that I'm the next in the line. Well, this is why he cut the whole Old Testament out the Bible.
Okay.
So he could write himself into the narrative.
Right.
As a peregrinus or a person willing to sacrifice himself for the good of the people. See the narrative?
You niggas slick, yo.
Yeah, this is why Paul had to have seen him after he was dead. Could have only seen him when he was dead. Even though you was sent to kill this nigga years before. You don't never even run across him. You only see him when he dead.
Right, that part.
Right. And then when he come back, this Hebrew that speaks Aramaic, who's actually an Essene Nazarite, right? You saying he didn't come back to you speaking Hebrew. He came back to this Romeo. Wherefore art thou Romeo?
Nigga came back speaking Greek, yo.
Yeah, this nigga was talking about Icarus and he talking about Herodotus and Homer. What are you doing, Jesus? Why the hell is you coming back to a so-called Hebrew?
He's very well.
Right? Mind you, he's from Tarsus.
I never heard of him.
Anybody knows where Tarsus is? Huh? Anybody? Where's Tarsus? It's in Turkey. Edom.
Yeah, boy,
This is
Paul,
why
yo. Right.
you know what I mean? It don't matter. He sold out the Rome too. But Marcion ain't trying to play like he wasn't around. But your boy Paul is.
There is.
There you go.
The 13th apostle, my nigga, the Herodian agent of Rome. What we talking about here?
Yeah.
Paul, my nigga. He's a Roman, man.
The physical appearance of Paul is described as an Edomite. Knights Forest claimed that Paul was a little man, crooked, and almost bent like a bow, with a pale countenance, long and wrinkled, with a what? Bald head.
A bald head.
Just like you see here. In Latin version of the Acts of Paul the Lesser, it is added that he had a red florid face. In the history of the contending of St. Paul, his countenance is described as ruddy, and the ruddiness of the skin of the pomegranate. That's the skin of a pomegranate, a pale pomegranate. The Acts of St. Peter confirms that Paul had a bald and shining head with red hair. Genesis 25:25, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name who? Esau. And who do we have here? Paul is described as what? A damn Edomite. They ain't making this shit up.
Y'all, and listen, the crazy part is he admits that I'm an enemy. But when I tell y'all I'm a Jew, y'all just believe it.
Not only that, he a Benjamite. That's how the Benjamites, remember, Benjamites are the West Indians according to their chart.
Wow.
So that's a Benjamite right there.
Wow.
Get close to that Benjamite. That's Benjamite. Let's see what else goddamn they talking about what Paul is. Imposter Paul. And then we got the history of how did Edomites become Jews. Nigga, we got it all here. We got it all. Antipater's family had converted to Judaism in the 2nd century BCE. That's it right there.
Listen, man. Listen, Saul is in Herod's genealogy. There's no mistaking why Herod and them had taken over the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They set them up as watchdogs over the people.
Right.
Who were the feds?
Right.
This is why when they was about to kill Paul, right? Remember, they was, I think it's in Ephesus. They was about to kill Paul out of nowhere.
Right.
The crack troops. I'm talking about a legion of these niggas that will be protecting niggas like Julius Caesar and all them.
Right.
Came down and got this nigga. The
Yeah.
Romans that stop niggas. Do not kill this one.
He one of us. He a free Roman.
He's one of us.
And look what it states. Hyrcanus is somewhat to blame because it states here, Antipater's family converted to Judaism during the forced conversion by the Sadducees, influenced Hasmonean leader John Hyrcanus. What he should have did is wipe the niggas out one time.
Yeah.
He should have wiped them niggas out while he was still in power. Nigga, if he would have wiped out the Herodians, nigga, we would have never had a Paul.
What they don't understand is the time he in rule, Yeshua, real Yeshua, had just been born 12 years before.
Imagine that.
Yeshua, as a matter of fact, this the crazy part. John Hyrcanus takes rule the same year Jesus go and teach in the synagogues, in the temples.
Right.
He was 12, right?
Right.
That would have been 134. So John Hyrcanus would have been witness to this nigga, the real Yeshua.
Imagine that, yo.
He would have been one of them niggas baffled by a little boy.
Like, yo, who this little nigga?
Man, who's this little nigga? Oh, that's little Joseph. That's Joseph in them.
Right, Joseph, boy. Remember Joseph from back in 73 when we used
Yeah,
to
remember he made your granddaddy bed. You think what I'm talking about? You know that big old wood bed he got? Yeah. I remember, cuz. That's his son.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yo. So, hold on. I just got to walk away from the chair real quick. So, look, you got them niggas converted to Judaism under Hyrcanus. When if Hyrcanus would have wiped them niggas out, they wouldn't have had no problems later. And then look what Hyrcanus say. Look what it states. Hyrcanus threatened that any Idumean who wished to maintain their land would need to be circumcised and enter into the tradition of the Jews.
Anybody want to guess where Tarsus is? It's in Idumea, Turkey.
Mm-hmm. But look at this though. Hyrcanus told these niggas they had to circumcise themselves.
Yep.
Now this is pre-Herod. This is Herod's
Oh
father.
yeah.
So if
Antipater would have been young.
right. So if Hyrcanus is telling niggas, y'all Idumeans got to be circumcised, look what it states down here. Let's come down to what Paul says. Precept, Galatians 1:5. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall not profit you nothing. Now, why would Paul disregard circumcision when Hyrcanus gave your forefathers the covenant of circumcision so you could be in the fold of this system we got called Judaism?
Facts, because if you in that land and you claiming to be Jew, you had to take the tradition of circumcision.
Yeah, you would have had to get circumcised. So why is Paul disregarding circumcision? And then not only that, look at this. Precept Paul transgressed the law. So we just read that Paul said, if ye be circumcised, Christ shall not profit you. Hyrcanus upholds the law of circumcision. Hyrcanus threatens that any Idumean who wished to maintain their land would need to be circumcised and enter into the tradition of the Jews. So we see that Paul disregarded the law of circumcision, and we see how Hyrcanus upheld the law of circumcision and that it was serious to him because he said, you need to do this. And then to give the death blow to Paul, when you read Genesis chapter 17, verse 10 through 14, it gives you the law of circumcision. And look what it states. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin. And this shall be a token of the covenant between me and you. And And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generation. He that is born in the house or brought with money, or any stranger which is not of thy seed. So they let you know if it's a stranger, a nigga brought with money, you got to get circumcised. This is what the Lord
How do you?
said.
But y'all, they never even stop to think about this. How do you prove they're not of your seed?
Exactly.
How do you prove? There's a way to prove it.
Right. So look, he that is born in thy house and he that is brought with money must be circumcised. This ain't no if and buts about it. Must be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for a what? Everlasting covenant. Now look what it states here. Here go Paul. Here's Paul, verse 14. And the uncircumcised, because Paul telling niggas, if you get circumcised, Christ ain't gonna profit you. So that's putting you in the mind frame. Well, I ain't gotta get circumcised because Christ ain't gonna profit me. So verse 14 states, and the uncircumcised man, child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. So what the fuck is Paul doing? First, the nigga cut off from the people. First, he cut off from the people because the nigga was wilding out, killing the people before he went to Damascus. And now after he had his trip to Damascus, he telling niggas, don't be circumcised no more because Christ ain't going to profit you. But the law of the Lord, what the Lord is saying is that if you break my goddamn commandment and you don't circumcise, that soul shall be cut off because he had broke my commandment. So what the hell Paul running around here doing?
And then Paul is teaching the opposite of what James and them told him. James and them told him to uphold the circumcision.
You see what I'm saying? Look at that. Look at that.
Right? So he still go out and say, well, you know, I didn't learn like they learn.
That's crazy.
Right. I learned from Jesus a different way. I got some different stuff. You know what I mean? Y'all can go for that if you want to.
So that's a death. The law of circumcision is a death blow to Galatians chapter 1, verse 5. Galatians chapter 1, verse 5. If you want to destroy that, just go to Genesis chapter 17, verse 10 through 14, and that's going to destroy Galatians 1 through 5. Because who are you going to go with? The Lord saying what my covenant is, or Paul telling you, don't circumcise, Christ ain't going to profit you nothing.
Right. It can't be both. Somebody lying.
Who? Somebody goddamn lying. Somebody ain't got their story together. That's crazy, yo.
Now it's up to you to believe who lying.
Yeah.
Is the God lying?
Right.
Is John Hyrcanus lying? Or is Paul lying? Now, mind
you see Hyrcanus. Hold up, you see John Hyrcanus upholding the law of circumcision.
He upholding, right.
Exactly.
He upholding the law of God. So God and John Hyrcanus is on the same side saying something different than Paul is saying.
Exactly.
So who lying? Is it Paul or is it your God?
Right.
That's what it comes down
to. Put a 1 in the chat if Paul lying.
Right? If Paul lying, put a 1 in the chat. If the God lying, put a 2 in the chat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Who lying?
Somebody lying. Either the circumcision is a covenant, or like Paul is saying it's not. Right? One of the two. If Paul is lying, put a 1 in the chat. If the God is lying, put a 2 in the chat. It's up to y'all to choose. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, what that answer looking like?
Oh, I see the ones coming in. They say Paul lying. If Paul is lying, right, and it's not a covenant, hit me with a 1. If God is lying, and he said God is saying it is a covenant, right? Paul saying it ain't. Somebody lying. It's either Paul or God. If it's Paul lying, it's a 1. If it's God lying, it's 2. We see the ones coming in. I'm voting 1, 2. Paul lying like a motherfucker. Because it's only one way to tell if these people is of your cut and ilk. Why do you think you even have circumcision? It's for the woman, so she can tell who can breed to, because you have a spiritual awareness even in your family, right? You see these weirdo women nowadays, they don't even care. You dig what I'm talking about? About cleanliness and about whatever. But this has been going on since time immemorial, right? This is why certain people do it. And if you notice, those people with circumcision breed with each other.
That's crazy, yo.
Because it's a sign of the enlightened stock and gene. What y'all don't know is that's the difference. Circumcision is the difference between a Raphaim and a Nephilim. Y'all thought they was angels for real. See, that's the old trick that they were selling. They was literally demigods.
Right.
Just because they was big and tall. No, they had people praising them. You dig what I'm talking about? So y'all, so in the stories, they tell these big tall men as Nephilim and Raphaim. The only difference between Raphaim and Nephilim is that the Nephilim circumcised themselves. The ones that ran with Nimrod, right? This is why he get the name Nimrod, right? Because the Raphaim thought it was stupid.
The name Nimrod is stupid, yo. That's crazy.
Hold on 1 second, y'all.
Yeah, yo. We out here getting it in. You know how we do. Going in on Paul, you know what I'm saying? Lying ass Paul. We got all the history. Paul claiming to be a Benjamite. Philippians, circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of Hebrews, as touching the law of Pharisees. So you got this goddamn pale skin, pomegranate, redhead nigga talking about he a Benjamite. But according to the Israelites, 12th tribe chart, the Benjamites supposed to be the West Indians. West Indians are some brown skinned, dark skinned people with kinky ass hair. You know what I mean? So how can that be? So how can Paul be a Benjamite? You got Paul admitted to be a Roman-born citizen. Acts 22:25. And as they bound him with thongs, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman and uncondemned? He said he a Roman. When have you ever seen any of the 12 disciples talk about they Romans? Or even playing around and say like, hey, just to get out of a situation, they're not a nationality. Royal, come in. Come in. Where have you seen that at? When the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain, saying, take heed of what thou doest. For this man is a what? Roman. He a Roman. Show me a Jew that's a Roman. What Benjamite is a Roman? Come here. What Benjamite you know is a Roman in the first century besides Paul? Show me another Benjamite in the first century besides Paul that's a Roman. Matter of fact, show me a Benjamite period in the first century in the Bible or any historical literature outside the Bible. Look what it states in verse 27. Then the chief captain came and said unto him, tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, yes. He's a damn Roman. And the chief captain answered with the great summon obtained I this. And Paul said, but I was free born. Huh? Then straightway they departed from him, which should have examined him, and the chief captain also was afraid after he knew that he was a Roman, and because he had bound him. So right here, Paul admits that he has Roman citizenship. He's a freeborn Rome. Now look at this. How does one become a freeborn Roman citizen? See, Paul is exposed. It was an agreement that happened that Paul used against the Roman centurions to get his freedom. And here's what happened. We have to go back to 47 BC when the father of Herod, Antipater, was granted Roman citizenship from Julius Caesar. This is where it began. After Julius Caesar defeated Pompey at the Battle of Pharsalus, Antipater sided with Caesar during the Roman Civil War. During Caesar's Egyptian campaign, Antipater joined the Mithridates and Pergamon's army marching to rescue Caesar in Alexandria. Caesar made him chief minister of Judah. Caesar, a Roman, made him chief minister of Judah, meaning Antipater, as Judah became known as to the Romans, with the right to collect taxes eventually. So Caesar gave Antipater Judah as a province. Caesar made Antipater's son Pharsalus and Herod the governor of Jerusalem and Galilee. That's how them niggas got positioned in Jerusalem, through Caesar. Caesar gave them rulership to rule over those regions. When Julius Caesar and Pompey went to war in 49-48 BC, Antipater at first sided with Pompey. When the latter was defeated by Caesar's, Antipater shifted his alliance to Caesar. While Caesar was besieged in Alexandria in 47 BC, Antipater and the Mithridates and Pergamon rescued him. This is the act right here. Rescued him with 13,000 men and the aid of numerous nearby friends. For this demonstration of valor, Caesar elevated Antipater to Roman citizenship, freed him from taxes, and showed him with honor and declaration of friendship. So this is where you get the Herodians getting Roman citizenship by the act that Antipater did in 47 BC when he was going to war in besieging Alexandria. So we got the history of how they became citizenship. Shout out to Malachi Maccabee for bringing this out years ago, which made me do the research on how did these Romans get the citizenship? How did these Idumeans get citizenship? How did Jews get Roman citizenship? Jews never got Roman citizenship. It was the Idumeans, Antipater, who got Roman citizenship and his descendants, and was tax-free living. So now it makes sense why Paul would have used that for his advantage at the time he got bound and about to be scourged by the Romans, when he's like, yo, hold up. Little do you know, I'm an Idumean, and my forefather Antipater made an agreement with your leader Caesar that I'm a free Roman-born citizen. So Paul showed his hand. And by showing his hand, he exposed who he was. So it was Julius Caesar who put Herod governor over Jerusalem. The Herodian family being classified as having Roman citizenship free from paying taxes. So Paul stating that he is a freeborn Roman citizen is admitting he has Herodian ties. Show me any other Israelite during this time period were having Roman citizenship. Who else got Roman citizenship? Which one of them niggas wasn't paying taxes? When Jesus was born, didn't they have to go down and pay taxes? Huh? Let's see that. Where's that at in the book? Is that in Luke? Let me see if I can find that in the New Testament. Is that in the New Testament when they had to go pay taxes? Where is it where they had to pay Raise it when they had to pay them taxes. All right, it can't be that. Let me see if it's Mark. Mark starts out with the baptism. Let me see, that got to be Matthew then. Let me try John real quick before I go any further. Well, John starts out with that. Philosophy. All right, got to be Matthew then. No, where that verse at when they talk about Jesus got a when they were talking about they had to pay taxes for Caesar, son. Where that verse at? Let me see. Where that verse for Caesar? All right. Where that verse where they had to pay taxes. What book that's in? Mark, Matthew, Luke, John? I forget. It's Paul the out. Oh, that's start with the baptism. Ain't it Luke? Ain't that the book of Luke? Let me see here. Well, nonetheless, it's a verse where they had to go pay taxes. Where everybody had to go pay taxes to Caesar. Let me see. Caesar. Ain't none come up for Caesar? I just spelled it wrong. Hold up. It might be Matthew, Mark chapter 22. What goes in the beginning? Well, nonetheless, the point was that niggas had to go down and pay taxes. So if there was freeborn Roman citizens, they wouldn't have had to go down and pay no taxes. They would have been good. You know what I mean? And then, of course, we got the family tree. Close family of B. Antipater. And then, you know, the brothers brought out Silas. Yeah, interesting nonetheless, yo. Antiquities of the Jews by Josephus. Costoborus, also known and Saulus, did themselves get together a multitude of wicked wretches, and this became because they were of the royal family, and so they obtained favor among them because of their kindred to Agrippa. But still they used violence with the people and were very ready to plunder those that were weaker than themselves. So that's Antiquity and Vils, comparing Saulus to Paul's activity pre-Damascus. First mention of Paul in the Bible in Acts 7:58, and cast him out of the city and stoned him, and the witness laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul. Acts 8:1, and Saul was consenting unto his death. And at that time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem. And I wonder who was at that church at Jerusalem. That would have been James, the brother of Jesus, and them, holding it down, right? And they were all scattered abroad throughout the region of Judah and Samaria, except the apostles. Consent means to give permission for something to happen. So Saul is first mentioned in the Bible consenting to the killing of Stephen. And then you have Paul persecuting the Israelites for Acts 8:3. As for Saulus, he made havoc of the church, entering every house and dragging off men and women, committing them to prison. And I used the slave master as an example in slavery and the plantation as an example of the behavior of Paul, aka Saulus. So you'll know what type of man he was. So if you could forgive the slave master, if you could forgive Paul, you could forgive the slave master. And then we see the actions of Paul. You know what I mean? That was a good vibe for the day, your boy Selah. My dog's playing around. I should see, this is funny. Big ass King Costa play with a Maltese. But y'all, I'm about to sign up out of here. Your boy Selahshalom, you know what I mean? We're going to chop it up till next time. You know we do. It's a vibe like always. Freestyling off the top of the dome. You know what I mean? It was an excellent vibe. Glad y'all chimed in. Shout out to Cosmo and Cal Malika Maccabee for chiming in for the few that they did chime in. You know what I mean? You know how the brothers do. You know how we do. And with that, your boy Selahshalom gonna chime out. I'm gonna chime out. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. But before that, make sure you get the bitters.
Bitter sweet herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet.
Make sure to get the bitters. Run the rhythm.
Bitter sweet herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet. bittersweetherbals.com.
Yes, family, make sure to get your bitters. You know how we do. Till next time, you know what I mean? We're going to continue speaking of more topics, continue exposing these false gods, continue exposing the false narrative, continue exposing the true spirituality so you can ascend to these Etherian realms. Because these false gods didn't tell you about Etheria. You'll know nothing about Etheria if it wasn't for the OSP. And as far as the breakdown, how it is as far as graduation. You know what I mean? Most people don't even know nothing about Etheria. They don't know nothing about the system in order to ascend to the Etherian realms. So best believe you guys are ahead of the game. And with that, your boy Selahshalom is out. Deuces.
Jehovah is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovah wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great Wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation, till the growth is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. It is the will and wish of your God that all men become constitutionally capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Etherian gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherian heavens, to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds, so shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmin. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love, lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall course around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I created.